Registration for the 2023 AFCA Convention is now open. Join us as AFCA returns to the Queen City. Mark your calendars for January 8th through the 10th, 2023 in Charlotte, North Carolina. If you are attending the convention, dues, fees, and ticket requests not received by December 10th will be processed on-site at a higher convention fee and ticket price. For more information, visit afca.com.
This week on Inside the Headset, we are featuring Oregon State's running backs coach, AJ Steward. Coach Steward discusses stepping outside his comfort zone, applying his life philosophy to his coaching philosophy, and using AFCA 35 under 35 to climb the coaching ladder. Now, let's get inside the headset with Coach Steward.
Coach, what's going on, man? How you doing?
Doing great. Appreciate you having me here.
Yeah, no doubt, man. I know it's always hard to find some free time, man, and I do appreciate you making some time for us. We kind of dive right into this thing. I've known you for a while. Had the great opportunity to work with you. I believe you were at Rice at the time, and we came down and did a camp with you, and I was coaching backs, and you were coaching running backs, and you were doing some really good stuff, and kind of been pretty cool with each other ever since then, man. One of the things I walked away with was a list full of drills that I really liked that you did. I mean, you coach guys thoroughly, and so you kind of, I actually hate the word guru in football or in sports in general. Guru is such a bad term. It's like you know everything, but you always want to be getting better. But you kind of becoming that running back guru, for lack of better terms. Since you began coaching them in 2014. Your first role was offensive GA at Rice, 12 through 14. How much interaction did you have with the backs? Was that the group that you were working with, and just really, where did your development start with coaching running backs?
Yeah, it was a unique situation. John Reagan, who was there, he was our offensive coordinator. He was our O-line coach when I played at the University of Kansas, and so he brought me down. He offered me a GA spot. I played quarterback and tight end in college, and a little bit of receiver too. So I just assumed when I took the job that I was going to work with one of those three groups. And so obviously with his history of being an O-line coach, he was technically the running backs coach there, but I guess he wanted a little more help, so that he could eventually oversee more of the front and different things like that. When he told me I was going to work with him with the running backs, I was actually like, oh my goodness, like the one position that I have that's the most uncomfortable for me, and I'm gonna feel, like really insecure coaching those guys at the beginning. That's who he had me working with, and so over time, really that after like the first season, probably like my first spring there, he started giving me more responsibility with the individual and things like that. Kind of started with like, hey, 5 minutes pass pro, to do whatever drill you want, but I want you to work pass pro for 5 minutes. And I'm always the type of person that if you give me I'm grateful for responsibility, and so I'm not going to take the easy way, and just do the safe thing, when you give me an opportunity. And so, I did a lot of research. I've been doing research on drill work and things like that, and so I remember doing the pass pro drill. I don't even remember exactly what drill we did, but I remember him going over with the O-line and kind of looking over, make sure I'm doing something, with the guys. And then I remember him kind of nodding his head like, okay, I like that. It was something we hadn't done before. And then I think at that point, just seeing the players engage with me and me teaching and doing that, I think I started to kind of earn his trust a little bit. And so that kind of evolved to me taking most of the individual with the running backs for the remainder of that year. And then in my second year as a GA, he still ran most of the meetings and things like that, but he started giving me a lot of responsibility. And then he ended up taking off before our bowl game. We won our conference in 2013. Mm-hmm. He left to go be the OC at Kansas. And so it was I naturally just kind of slid into the interim running backs coach during that bowl prep. And, you practice 15 times, and, it was a later bowl too. So I was able to really coach those guys and prove to Coach Baylor, our head coach, I could, run meetings, earn the respect of the players, and just kind of operate, like a full-time coach would. And so that's really, it started with me being upset that I had to be uncomfortable and work with a position that I didn't really have a lot of background experience with, to like me finding a passion and kind of finding my niche and getting my career started.
Yeah, man. Well, dang, I want to go like three different ways right there with that response. So I will ask all three of these things too. So you weren't too far off from finishing playing at this point in time. You had just finished up, I think, at Kansas 11. Yeah. So I mean, you're relatively young. You're like you said, in an uncomfortable situation, and you got some responsibility because at the very least he could have just said, "Hey, run it. Let me cross my arms over here and just watch you run it." But I mean, he's off with somebody else. You know, where did you kind of anchor the confidence, not just do it and go coach tight ends, something that you'd already did before, but this is a new group. How'd you kind of get some of that confidence and interact with some guys that around your same age?
Well, it's just crazy how things work. I actually did my undergrad in health and PE.
Okay.
And the University of Kansas has like a really good education department. So our curriculum and our different, we had to do different teaching, student teaching things throughout the course of our, curriculum that were really uncomfortable. Like one time I had to do engage like a team sports for middle school. Then I had to do another semester with like adaptive PE, like people with, different type of disabilities. And, and it was just like, I really learned how to teach. Like those are things that are really uncomfortable for somebody who, especially I was, 20, 21 years old, teaching middle school, high school kids, and then, disabled kids. And it was just it kind of just taught me to like be out of my comfort zone. I didn't even know that, I didn't know it was going to prepare me to be a coach, but I think that's why I was able to kind of jump straight in. I understood like how to manage time. I had to teach a kindergarten PE class with 35 kids in it. So it just, it kind of taught me, hey, you better be meticulous. There be good transitions because you'll lose the whole classroom, and different things like that. And so I was kind of already prepared for like the managerial things. I know how to teach. I know how to communicate with people. I've always been, pretty good at that. And so really it was just more so just learning, understanding what we're trying to get accomplished schematically and from a technique standpoint, and then just applying that, to the players.
This is funny because I did a podcast. I can't remember with who it was. This is about maybe 6 months ago. And the same kind of question I asked, and this is a tough question to ask, especially a football coach, because, I would like to think most of us are wired a little bit differently in terms of like, hey, we got a task. Like we don't just do it. We attack it a little bit. But, I mean, do you think that a little bit of that, like the fact that you got the running backs, I mean, imagine if you got the tight ends and it was like, hey, run this. You probably wouldn't have did the homework because you would have been like, oh, I know my favorite drills. I know the drills I'm used to. So do you think that actually propelled you a little bit more, actually getting out your comfort zone and having to go do some homework and finding new things?
Absolutely. And I had to learn the football in a way that I have learned the game of football in a way that I have never had to. And then, as a quarterback, tight end, you really learn. I mean, tight end, you learn a little bit about the box play, but it's mainly coverage and, pass techniques and different things, concepts, the schematics of the pass game. And so really it took me like that whole first year to really understand box play. I didn't know what a squeeze scrape was. I didn't know what, a 4-2, over front, under front. I didn't really understand the terminology just from being outside the box,
right.
My career. And so I absolutely believe that it forced me to be uncomfortable. It forced me to learn football from like the core. To me, like once you learn the core, then it's easier to me to go back and learn the coverage and outside of that, box play. And so it absolutely propelled me, and it forced. I always tell my players, discomfort leads to growth, and I really feel like it stretched me in a way that I had to dive fully into it and get uncomfortable and get better at my craft.
Yeah, I love that, man. And what I really love about it is you kind of got stuck in this role, and then you get promoted full time to the Rice running backs coach for a few years. You go to BYU, the running backs coach, Arizona, you're the running backs coach. Now you're here, Oregon State as the running backs coach. In a position that initially you're very uncomfortable with, and a little bit myself. I was a running back, and then I ended up coaching receivers, and so I did end up back in the running back room. But you ask me right now, like, I'm a wide receiver coach, and I played 2 snaps maybe just because we lined up in empty when I was in college. Like I didn't have that background, but I felt like because I had to really go learn it in such a different way, I had to go reach out, and I still do. I still go talk to people about wide receiver play. So that's pretty awesome, man. I love to hear that. Now, it's kind of transitioning here. Faith and family. Just as I keep up with you on social media, I know you for a long time. It just seems to be very important part of your personal life and your career. Just talk a little bit about how you weave that family atmosphere, that family philosophy into your coaching philosophy.
I think that's who I am, and my players, they feel that. I try to I try to plant seeds with them organically. Like, I'm not a person that's going to throw things. I never want to make people uncomfortable and push like my life, my values on people, but I am willing to give them samples of it. And then if they ask me more about it, then I think that's my place to, to then assert myself, and so I try to promote like the family atmosphere, in my meetings, and I let the players ask me I kind of let them openly ask me about different phases of life and different things I can see from my perspective. I like to start my meetings off that way and kind of just leave it as an open forum where I give them a chance. Like, it's like a 3-minute exercise. They can ask me whatever questions they want. It could be silly, hey coach, what's your favorite food? Or it could be, hey coach, how'd you meet your wife? How hard is it to be a dad? And so I think that's how I am. I just like, I'm an open book, but I don't like push it. I don't sit down and make them think that I know everything about life or this is the way everybody should live. And I think the players respect that. And I think when they do approach me with questions and things like that, it's like on their own time. And I think it matters. It means more to both parties, when they do so. So, I know that the seeds are being planted when they do knock on my door and say, hey, coach, can we talk real quick? And then we go from that. But I try to allow, on social media, people to kind of get a glimpse of the things that they don't see, and just at the surface level when you think of a football coach. I'm football coach during the work hours that I'm over in this building, but I'm outside of this building a lot more, and so I want people to know what I value. And I think that's a good part of recruiting too. Like, I want parents to know that when their son comes to play for me, these are the values that I'm going to try to instill, within them, like it or not, but this is who I am. These are things that matter the most to me. And then hopefully it can be ministry to, some other coaches or other, players that come across my page.
Yeah, no doubt, man. My respect level for you in that aspect is out of this world, man, because you're right. Especially, you look down your resume and where you've been, there's a ton of pressure to go win at these places. And, 3 minutes is not a long time in the grand scheme of things. But, sometimes you can get in those places. It's like, hey, come on, we got to get this protection fixed. We got to do this. We got to do that. And you don't take that time to, really invest into those guys beyond the game. You're missing out on that opportunity. I love that you take the fact to just be authentic and provide those guys with that opportunity. Now, still talking about family, you do have a brother that is in the coaching industry as well as wide receiver coach at Idaho State, DJ. What is that like? Just having a younger guy going through the same profession as you, and I have an older brother. He's a head football coach here in Texas high school football. He's a high school ball coach. So our when I was coaching college, it was so we were going through different stuff. You know what I mean? But there's some similarities. Obviously, when you're both at the collegiate level, what has that journey been like with each other?
No, it's been really good. I think it's been an opportunity, for me to kind of share some past experiences and kind of help accelerate his process of growth. I think if you look at his career, how fast he's moved up in the profession, I would like to say a lot of that is just helping him, navigate and share my experiences and things like that to help him kind of accelerate, not have to learn some of the lessons that I did or,
right.
Learn how to maneuver through this profession a little bit. But he's great at what he does. He always, at the end of the day, he doesn't get opportunities just because we're related. He's never gotten an opportunity just because we're related. Yeah. It's always when the opportunity presents itself, he's prepared, he knows his stuff, and he's really good at what he does. And so that's probably what I'm most proud of, when I see his career and how fast he's worked himself up, in his profession. It's all, the formula is still the same. And the way we were raised, we're blue collar, come from tough upbringing, St. Louis, Missouri. Mm-hmm. And we're just grateful. We really feel like coaching is ministry for us. He was actually working a job for, up in New Jersey, working in investment banking for 2 years. And I didn't want him to get into coaching. He paid a lot of money to go to a really good school. He had a good career where he could, make good money and not have to worry about the sacrifices we make as coaches. He did it for a couple of years, and he's like, man, I just feel like this is my calling. Yeah. I don't like going to work every day without feeling like I have purpose. And so I think that's overall, I'm most proud of just his him going and rolling his sleeves up and accomplishing things himself, but as well as the reason why he does it. I think that's why he's excelled so quickly too, because you can't hide if, not doing it for the right reasons.
That's awesome, man. Well, let me speak for DJ here. My older brother's 4 years older than me. I think he's 4 years younger than you. And one of the best moments in my life was, as I was getting into the coaching thing, I would always call him, hey, Chris, what should I do here? And I remember my phone rang one day and he called me for advice. I was like, man, that's pretty dope, man. Has that opportunity came up for y'all yet where you hit him up and, maybe ask for some of his wisdom?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I call him, and, about different things that present themselves sometimes, different
right.
opportunities, things like that. Just see, hey, what do you think about it? Or sometimes just call him vent, about things that only he would know as another coach,
right.
Some person like, hey man, am I tripping on this? Like, should I have reacted to different, whatever. I think, and me and him have grown really close,
yeah.
Obviously we're brothers, but I think we've added another layer to even to our relationship as brothers, because we're each other's kind of sounding boards at times, with some of the frustrations and even the great, the
yeah.
things that only another coach could appreciate, like little breakthroughs that happen with players and things like that. And so it's been great. And he's definitely made a big impact on me as well.
That's important, man. That's great, Josh. Able to kind of continue to grow in y'all's relationship through the fraternity part of football. Now, Oregon State has a tremendous history of great backs. I mean, all the backs that kind of came through there over the years. How do you use the success and probably the prestige of that meeting room to help elevate your guys, coach your guys, and put pressures on your guys to perform and be the best version of themselves?
Yeah, I think there's a standard that's been set, from a running back standpoint in this program. And you talk about all the way back to Steven Jackson, but even more so in recent times, there's been a ton of all-conference running backs
right.
and different things like that. And so it's been really cool. I think it helps in recruiting as well, to know it's just not recruiting speak to say, hey, you can come here and be a really good running back and we'll help you get to the league. Like, we have a lot of, history that to back that up with, and all that. But I think the biggest thing, like this past year, having BJ Baylor, who's with the Packers now,
mm-hmm.
the guys that are in the room, they've so that some of them have been in the room just with him. Then others have been in the room with Jamar Jefferson, who's with the Lions, who was here prior to him. Just being able to know that this is tangible. He's going to coach me hard, and he's going to say these are the things that I need to do to go to the NFL. But that's a realistic thing to wake up every morning and know that it's tangible, because they've been in the room with guys that were being coached, the same way, and rolled their sleeves up and got it done. And so I definitely think it helps. But when we talk about NFL in our room, it's not like a pipe dream for our guys. They know it's tangible, and they know that's what we're working towards when they show up every day.
Now, before I kind of get ready to start asking some of the last questions here, I'm just want to ask you, or do you have any passion to get back to that tight end room, maybe the receiver room? I know you spent some time as a quarterback, high school quarterback as well. Do you want to get back into those rooms, or are you an RB coach for life type guy?
I think I'm a coach. Like, I'm surprised that I've coached only running backs for this long, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I'm open to coaching different positions, receivers, quarterbacks, tight ends, as well. Even if over to the defense, something ever, presented itself. I'm actually doing an internship now with the Buffalo Bills, where I'm working with the receivers,
wow.
So it's been really good, for me to kind of get back into that world a little bit and, see things from that perspective. But yeah, I look at myself as a coach, and just like I think kind of the story earlier when I just got ingrained and, really pushed forward on owning my craft as a running backs coach. I really feel like I can do that, whatever opportunity presented itself. And so I do feel like I wouldn't say guru, like you said earlier, but I do think I've acquired a lot of knowledge. This will be my 11th year coaching running backs. And so some of it is a lot of trial and error, and by default, you do anything for 11 years, you should get better, as time goes. But
yeah.
I do feel like, in the future, I would love to, to indulge in a different journey and hopefully, just prove my worth in different aspects of the coaching profession.
I love it, man. I'm just a coach. That's right. I mean, that's what it's all about. Now, congratulations on the deal with the Bills, man. That's awesome. I actually did not know that. So congratulations on that. You know, recently named to the Football Scoops Minority Up and Coming Rising Stars, and also named to the Coaching Network's RB's Coach on the Rise. Obviously, you were part of our 35 under 35 program. You know, what is, you know, been an even keel, level headed guy like you typically are. You know, how do you take in getting all these awards and all that kind of stuff, and you know, what do you do to stay motivated?
Yeah, when they did the Football Scoop deal, I think it was like over 100 coaches or something, and my wife actually sent it to me, and I told her, you know, I'm like, you know, I just kind of downplay like this. They named almost every coach, you know, minority. I mean, I didn't say that as a disrespect, but just kind of like, you know, but she's like, no. And then she's like, well, there were times in your career where you wouldn't even be named to a list that had 100 coaches on it, you know, and I'm like, you're right, you know, and so I definitely am grateful that, you know, for the recognition and acknowledgement. I think it's good confirmation that you're on the right path, you know, as a coach. And I think it helps more for the outside than with me. Like I've always been really confident in what I do because I know the reason I do it and the type of impact I make on the guys that I encounter, you know, throughout this profession.
Yeah.
Like my peers as well as my players. And so I always feel like the truth will come out, you know, about me, and I'll have opportunities no matter what, because I feel like I do it for the right reasons. And then I just believe that at the end of the day, at some point, people will, you know, kind of recognize some of the fruit of the work that we've put in, you know, with the guys. And so it definitely is great and I'm grateful to be acknowledged, you know, as that. But I don't feel like I need that necessarily in order to be confident in who I am as a coach. But I think it's good though. It's a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, no doubt. Anytime anybody outside of your scope of work can look and recognize what you've done, that's always a good thing. But you're right. Yeah, you definitely don't need that to be intrinsically motivated and things like that. So I will ask you this, just kind of apart from that, because I was putting a little bit more emphasis on some of the other things. That 35 and 35, obviously, that's my baby. I kind of put that whole deal together. You know, what are a couple of takeaways that you took from being a part of that program, and why would you encourage anybody to apply for that?
I think overall, just the reality of positioning yourself, you know, as the business side, professional side. I think, you know, the piece with the agents that really stuck with me, and just utilizing that to help navigate, you know, to help maybe circumvent, especially as a minority coach, using those sometimes as a bridge to help get connected to people that you may not organically have gotten connected with. I think just seeing the different, you know, plights of different coaches and speakers, you know, that were up there, just seeing that really you can get to where you want to go to in multiple different ways, you know, so just first kind of keep your head down, roll up your sleeves. But there's guys that become head coaches in all different ways. There's guys who become coordinators from starting off really low levels of football and working their way up. And so just the diligence of just pushing forward in your career, checking the boxes off, getting better at your craft, and then letting God, you know, kind of place you where he wants you. And then just being in a room overall with some really good coaches and kind of looking around, you know, and kind of being encouraged, like, man, I know that guy from afar. You know, I've always, you know, thought that he's a really good coach, and now I'm in the same room as him. You know, it's just like good confirmation, good encouragement as well. But I thought all the speakers in every, you know, panel and everything was really good. I thought James Franklin was really good, you know, his transparency and just what he sees from a head coaching standpoint. And also me being an aspiring head coach, just seeing the things that are less glamorous about being a head coach, especially in this present day and age. I think those were definitely some things that I hadn't really considered. I still do want to be a head coach, but just he kind of opened my mind to a couple of different challenges that may, you know, present themselves along the way. And so I think, you know, it was all good, you know, top to bottom, and just the connections I was able to make with the other guys in the room was.
Yeah, no doubt, man. Well, I kind of appreciate you talking a little bit about that. And from my standpoint, I think it's it's awesome to be able to kind of put these groups together. Much like getting a recruiting class, you get the group of guys and now you just want to see them grow and, go down their paths and, definitely excited to see you continue to push through this great profession, man, and achieve everything that I know you're capable of. You're capable of achieving, man. So once again, I appreciate you as always. You're a great social media follower. So if you don't mind just dropping your Twitter account so anybody that's interested can give you a follow and keep up with your journey.
Yes, sir. My Twitter is Coach _Steward STEWARD as in dog.
All right, cool. We'll make sure to link that in the show notes. And as always, man, always good to talk to you. Best of luck throughout the summer into the fall, and see you in 23 over in Charlotte, man.
Sounds good. Appreciate you.
All right, thanks, Coach. Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Inside the Headset. If you heard anything on this episode that you would like to learn more information about, head over to AFCApodcast.com, where you can find every episode and all of the corresponding show notes. While you're there, take a second to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions for the show, please let us know by sending an email to podcast@afca.com. Make sure to follow the podcast on Twitter at Inside the Headset and tag it when you share each episode. You can stay up to date with all things AFCA by following the @WeAreAFCA Twitter account. Every episode of Inside the Headset can also be found on your favorite audio streaming platforms such as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. If you are not currently a member of the AFCA, be sure to find us online at afca.com and apply to join over 10,000 NFL, college, and high school coaches from around the country who are striving to be the best they can be. With an AFCA membership, you gain invaluable access to the annual AFCA convention, the bi-monthly magazine, and the new and improved digital library, which contains thousands of videos and articles contributed by hundreds of current and former football coaches. You can also visit AFCAinsider.com to sign up for our free weekly email newsletter on the right-hand side of the screen. It comes out every Tuesday at lunch and is filled with great articles and stories written by many of the same coaches you hear on the podcast. It's geared to help you become a better coach tomorrow than you are today. Be sure to connect with me on Twitter at Coach Mario Price. And remember, the AFCA is not just an annual convention. It is an association that continually promotes education, guidance, and networking. But it is also so much more than that. The AFCA is about celebrating the past and educating the future. It is about developing great coaches who will produce great teams and even better people. So invest in your skill set and impact today by engaging with the AFCA.